This video is all about white chocolate by Benjamin Moore. Unfortunately, not the delicious dessert that I've been obsessed with. Ever since my in-laws brought me Milky Bar from Scotland, it is the bees. Yummy tangents aside, we're gonna talk about the paint color white chocolate, and we're gonna get into some technical details on how it's composed, how you might wanna use it in your home, but most importantly, what other colors to use with it. 2 trim options and 3 wall color pairings that I put together for you for free. I'm assuming you clicked on this video because you're already familiar with white chocolate, or you're just looking for a beautiful, warm white to use in your home. Probably on the interior side of things, but maybe outside as well. We'll touch on that. One of the first things that I look at, especially when it comes to these lighter off-white colors, is something that's called the LRV, or the light reflectance value. And this is information that's readily available on the Benjamin Moore website. You just gotta click on white chocolate, scroll down, and then we can see here an 86-ish LRV. So this means we have a paint color that reflects about 86% of the light that hits it, which translates to an 86 out of 100 on the brightness scale. So pretty high, not the highest LRV by Benjamin Moore. We'll get to that in a second, spoiler alert, but definitely a very, very bright color that will seem white to a lot of people. But what makes it different is the undertone, or the extra color that is in it, which ends up being a soft, creamy yellow. And this yellow will be more visually apparent in certain situations versus others, especially when you compare it to other brighter, cooler, or stark whites. For example, another warm white that's pretty popular is cotton balls. And I'm not sure if you can tell on the screen right now, cotton balls is a little bit brighter and lighter. So you will see more of that yellow undertone in white chocolate. But what I do enjoy about that yellow is, even though there's more of it, it feels a bit softer, just a little more rounded, not so much highlighter yellow, more of like a buttery kind of creamy yellow, which is nice. Although I usually caution people painting their walls white because sometimes it's a little more dramatic than you might expect. White chocolate is sort of on that cusp where, because of that soft warmth, it gives it a slightly more pleasant look to me, but it all depends on your lighting conditions, your home, your flooring, how it's going to interact with your space. So test your colors before you commit to them, okay? Before we get into the trim colors and the color pairings, I want to touch on exterior as well, because I know some of you are thinking of painting the outside of your home, and you're wondering if white chocolate is a good choice in those situations. Generally speaking, I would say yes. I think the creamy warmth does lend itself nicely to exterior use because it'll be balanced out by the cool blue sunlight that will be hitting it, sort of neutralizing it in a nice, pleasing way. I would more often use white chocolate as an exterior trim color to sort of accentuate a slightly darker main body color, but you could use it on the main part of your home. Just know that it will be bright. It will be very light. So if you're cool with that, then go for it after you test it out. Now, assuming you're using white chocolate inside on your walls, what trim colors go well with it? Like I often say with off-whites and white paint colors, the easy choice is to just continue that same color onto your trim using the appropriate trim paint, of course. This will give you a seamless look. It is not complicated because you don't need to figure out what's gonna go with it. It's gonna go with itself. Really easy, frictionless solution. But if you wanted to add a little bit of friction, maybe you wanted clean white trim to go with white chocolate. Well, the cleanest, brightest white trim you can get is Chantilly lace. A very popular choice amongst designers because it is so clean, bright, and stark. It does have a slightly soft edge to it though, so it's not going to feel blue or anything like that. And really, it's your only choice if you're looking for a trim that is more white than white chocolate visually. Now, for an alternative to white trim, you can go with a darker trim, either much darker and a little more contrasty, or you can have contrast through color, through saturation. So I'm actually excited about this one. My second trim color choice is Love Always, which is a light color, all things considered, but it has this beautiful, rosy, soft, peachy pink that seems pretty polarizing, and it is, but I selected it specifically for our first color pairing to go alongside it, which is Nature's Symphony. A fairly similar paint color in terms of the undertones that are composed, so they both share that little bit of red, a little bit of orange, this sort of peachy, pinky, subtle, soft hue, but Nature's Symphony brings in a little more depth. So this color is a true mid-tone. It's right around 51 in terms of LRV, so you have a lot of contrast with it and both of those trim colors. I love the combination of Love Always and Nature's Symphony. very much monochromatic, same hue, but just different depth. But I think in certain spaces, it could look absolutely beautiful. You got to be on board with the whole pinky peach thing, but if you are, this could be a really rewarding choice for you. And then our second color pairing is a little more of a traditional choice, more neutral, but introducing a completely different hue, which is Morning Dew. And this is going to be your lighter, more passive color. It is around a 70 LRV. It is gray leaning, but it has green, which will be very much accentuated when you have it next to anything peachy or red or orange, which of course Nature Symphony and Love Always, they got a lot of that. Its relationship with white chocolate is a little more adjacent. Even though we're talking about yellow and green, they are a little more closely related based on the fact that they're pretty neutral, pretty passive, not too much saturation. But what's fun is if you had Morning Dew on the walls and then that Love Always sort of peachy trim, it will be very complementary and a little bit polarizing. But I think those two together would look really nice and a bit artsy if you wanted something a little more creative and fun. And for our third color pairing to round things out, we have Jackson Tan, which does have a little bit of that rosy sort of peachy quality hiding in the background a little bit, but ultimately it is a deep, slightly fiery tan color, a lot of brown and a bit of orange. But unlike some browns, which could look a bit dull and lifeless, this is a color that has a lot of energy to it, very energetic. Around a 27, 28 LRV, so not so dark that it's gonna feel very bogged down and heavy. It has that zing to it that I really enjoy, which means you might be more willing to use it in more spaces. Now, depending on how you distribute all these colors will really impact the overall feel and vibe. Maybe you wanna go a little more neutral leaning and then rely on white chocolate and Morning Dew and have those sort of peachy pinks sort of pop as a more supportive color. Or you can flip it and just really lean into that fun whimsy of the peachy aspect of it. But either way, here's the palette altogether. I hope you enjoy it. And also our Patreon is now live. So if you want extra content from us, exclusive perks, and some behind the scenes one-on-one kind of interactions, check out our Patreon and sign up today. It is a way to further support what we do on this channel and what we intend to do as long as we can. Here's another color quickie if you want some more inspiration on color palettes for your home.